Hello and welcome to Warblog. Today I'm looking at Black September. This is all sort of a follow-on from the previous thing that I did, which was the Battle of Karamet. This is basically the situation here is it's part of the, well, I don't want to call it the Jordanian Civil War. I mean, essentially, in a nutshell, the PLO are using sort of Jordan for their bases, and then the Jordanian government decide they've had enough, and so they sort of remove them, basically. So they attack them in these objectives. I'm a bit vague as to sort of the full ins and outs of it all, so I have a bit rushed it a bit, but I mean, it still takes a lot of time just to get to sort of basic levels. I'm pretty sure I can correct anything in time. But essentially, what we got, they only did it with one brigade, the 60th Armoured Brigade. So you've got elements of it there and there, but you've also got another element of it there. So there's a 60th Armoured Mechanised Infantry Regiment there, and they'll take out this unit here. I mean, there's nothing in there, there's 12 versus 2, but so what's all this other stuff? Well, now I had sort of variations on how to do this, so you've got some options here on how you play it, but essentially the Jordanian army basically does its stuff on the 17th. Oh, sorry, on the that's the 15th. The math's a bit wrong there, but it doesn't really matter. So they start attacking on the 15th of September. So taking out these places. Now this is sort of shortly after the 1967 war. So these are Iraqi units. Now I put them there just sort of generally to reflect that they're Iraqi units near Iraq. Don't know how big they are, but they don't play. You're not supposed to use those units. So I had the option of using those as non-participants units, which I can do in the game, which means you wouldn't be able to attack or move them at all or anything. But essentially, it was sort of integral. It was sort of integral to the situation. So if you want, you can then play with them and make a different game out of this. But essentially, because the Iraqis were there, it says the Iraqi government sympathised with the Palestinians, and it was unclear whether the division would intervene on behalf of the Palestinians. And so basically the Jordanians allocated their 99th Brigade of the 3rd Armoured Division, which is this one, 99th Brigade, to sort of basically see them off. So this is like a status quo or a stalemate or an impasse down here. This is what these units here are doing. So in theory you're not doing anything with them. Now these units all along here, apart from the 60th, which we've already covered, and the artillery is sort of independent but pretty much part of this line. This is to, we've got another element of the 60th there. I don't know what he's doing there, but I'm pretty sure there must have been a really good reason for it. Yeah, I'm just being silly, but I just put him there. So anyway, we basically, the bottom line is they didn't know whether or not Syria would come in and intervene. Essentially, the Syrians were sympathetic to the Palestinian cause, and so they basically they allocated the I'm just trying to find out which ones they were. Yeah, so basically, just pause for too long. essentially, well, I mean, I could just look at it here. We got the 40th Armoured Brigade and the 2nd Infantry Division. So 2nd Infantry Division, 2nd Infantry Division, 2nd Infantry Division, so it's 3 units, 2nd, and then you've got the 40th there. So basically it's the 2nd and the 40th are basically on the Syrian border to basically protect themselves from Syrian intervention whilst they take care of the Palestinian Liberation Organisation in this sort of more mountainous, hilly sort of part of Jordan. So essentially that goes on until, what are we doing for time? Plenty of time really. That goes on until the 18th of September when basically Syria intervenes. And to be quite honest, it does it with some style, really. I mean, the Syrians sent armoured forces equivalent to a brigade. So now I might adjust these because I'm not sure really how much they should have. But so we've got. Okay, we're missing the General Syrian Armoured Brigade, which I'll have to make a note of putting it in there. But they also had the 5th Infantry Division, or elements of the 5th Infantry Division, plus the 88th Tank Brigade, the 91st Tank Brigade. So it's these 2 units, so the 88th. 91st and the 67th Mechanised Brigade. So they had over 200 T-55 tanks plus commandos. So now the thing is, I've sort of had to sort of trim this back a bit because, well, really maybe they should have 3 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these. You know, I'm pretty sure they'll outnumber the Jordanians because they've only got 2 brigades or equivalent. So they'll have 4, so 4 against 2. Now, the situation historically was that on the 18th, the Syrians intervened. On the 21st of September, which is like 3 days later, the Syrian 5th Division, which we can't see here, but is the infantry division, broke through. I think that's pretty much it. It says broke through the defences at the Ramtha crossroads, and I think that's pretty much that. Let's just have a look. Map. Ramtha, that's where I put it. It's in green because it's in Jordanian control in the first place, because these are PLO objectives. So basically on the 21st, they break through the defences of the 40th Armoured Brigade, which is there, so obviously maybe they shouldn't be over here. We'll put some here, wherever you want. And on the 22nd of September, the Royal Jordanian Air Force began attacking the Syrian forces, and I haven't put those units in yet, so there's something I've got to do. So there's 2 things to add. The Jordanian Air Force. Now, it's worth noting that the Syrians didn't use their Air Force, and it notes that by way of reference to internal politics within Syria. Looking through, the Syrian Air Force under the orders of Assad. Now, this is 1970. I can't believe it's the same Assad. I don't really understand the politics. Maybe the Assad family has been in there for years. But anyway, under the orders of Assad, never entered the battle. This has been variously attributed to power struggles within the Syrian Ba'athist government, pitting Assad against Salah Jahdid, and to the threat of Israeli military intervention. So essentially the Syrians don't apply their air force, but the Jordanians begin an attack with the air force against the Syrians, which are badly battered as a result. The constant airstrikes broke the will of the Syrian force, and on the late On the late afternoon of the 22nd, the 5th Division began to retreat. Whatever the case, the swift Syrian withdrawal was a severe blow to the Palestinian hopes. Jordanian armed forces steadily pounded the headquarters in Amman and threatened to break in other regions of the kingdom as well. So essentially what happens is the Syrians enter. Now they enter on turn 4. I might adjust that, although it would be a bit of a pain. The turn 4 represents essentially pretty much 3 turns, so I'll have to do, maybe they'll enter on, if they start on the, if the Jordanians start on the 15th and the Syrians come in on the 18th, that would maybe ever do that 6 turns later, that's 2 turns per day. So essentially if that's the case, it's 2 turns per day, then you've got another 6 turns when they basically leave. So that's the situation. You have to sort of role play it a little bit, although you can't get the Syrian forces on until turn 4, or as it will be turn 6. Whether or not you want to apply the Iraqis is up to you. So it's all around an interesting period of history. I think the thing that intrigues me is it's sort of a Jordan-centric sort of scenario. I'm still trying to get my head around that particular period and how that all fits into what I initially read was the Jordanian Civil War. I mean, I don't know how they can describe it as a civil war because they've not mentioned anything in there yet that looks civil war-ish. They just sort of seem to be attacking the PLO, who have sort of, I wouldn't say covert, but have bases all around in this sort of hilly area, which is sort of sounds fairly typical of Middle Eastern affairs, really, and people hanging around in the hills for some reason. Not sure about the external geography of Syria and Israel here. I've tried to add a bit of flavour here. I haven't put too many names in because you've not been going over that way. There isn't really a lot to name over here. It's maybe a little more crowded over here. Probably do a fiddling around a bit. But that's pretty much that. I'm not even going to bother starting to play it because I'm still trying to sort of balance it up. I think it's an interesting game. I think it's sort of, it should be a walkover for the Jordanians against the PLO elements, just because they've got such big units, and they are, the regulars are going to not get their special attacks against these units, and so it'd be interesting to see how easy it is to actually get rid of them. I mean, this 60th Armoured Unit can probably come in here and take out that place, etc., etc. So I think it should sort of stand its ground for what it's sort of designed for. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to sort of try and do a playthrough in the next 2 minutes, but I might do another one later. Actually just play it because it does look interesting. Yeah, well, I'll maybe speak to you later. Okay, cheers, mate.